If there's one thing that I've learned in all my time as a lord, it's that a rainbow always follows the rain. And as you can see, today it is raining in Capybara. It's not just the skyline telling me that. I've been accosted in the street by a gaggle of concerned villagers. Apparently the town's coal reserves are low, which is having a strong impact on the amount of tools that we can produce. I did tell them that there's not a lot I can do while it's raining, but they didn't seem to want to listen. Oh, the demands on the Lord are never ending, believe me. But it's a fair point, so let's see if I can do something about it. This is Foundation, and I am Lord Bara. I take villagers' concerns very seriously. Take Quirin 1985, for example. Here was a problem at the market stall. And I'm going to tinker with the Riverside Market a little later, so I'll talk about it then. And while I've got your attention, I'd also like to give a shout out to Pigskin75. He's made a donation to help continue to build the town. I don't know what I did to deserve it, but I'm grateful. Now, to business. There are 3 things that I intend to do today, and the first thing will be here in the forest. For me, forests are a dynamic system which are always on the move. But this forestry area that you see here has been here for quite a while now, and this is the place where it's ultimately going to stay. Which means I can now organise it up and turn it from a random collection of buildings just scattered in the forest into something more organised, with some sensible placement and an eye to future developments. Over here is the cheesemaker, and I'm going to add another one of these in to expand the amount of cheese that I'm making in the town. And I'm also going to have to revisit the dairy farms which I placed last time because they're not quite big enough. They need some extra villagers working in there, and I'll be able to expand them to the other side of the road that you see there so they can produce more milk. But I'm going to start here. The far end of the industrial area is crying out for some attention, and I know exactly what to put in there to smooth over a gaping hole in the economy. If you're asking yourself, Lord, what's the point of all of this? Capybara seems to be doing just fine. Well, aside from the fact that there's always room for improvement, today I want to promote a commoner to a citizen. And would you believe it, just in time the sun decides to come out so we can crack on. I have 3 types of buildings mixed into the forestry area. I've got the forester themselves who are planting out trees. I've got the woodcutters who are chopping the trees down. And I've also got the berry pickers. Now, for me, the meta on the berry pickers is to keep them with the woodcutters. And the reason for that is the berry pickers are their area that they use to pick berries is the perimeter of the forests. So wherever the woodcutters are, there's always going to be berries. Obviously, if you're clearing a forest out on an industrial scale, the perimeter will eventually disappear, or you'll have to move the berry pickers closer to where the perimeter actually is in order for them to work. But I find that that's the holy trinity of forestry meta in Foundation. As usual, what I'm going to do is draw out where I would like a road to be. I think there was one commenter that got confused by this a while back, thinking that I'm actually drawing roads here. No, these are just the idea of roads. The colour is irrelevant, I could be using any colour, depends on my mood and the day. It's purely to give me an idea about where I'm going to place buildings. The villagers will make the roads and do the rest, and if they need a little bit of extra guidance, then I'll put some fencing down and maybe use some red brush to stop them going in places I don't want them to go. I'm not going to lie, I want to get better at making forestry areas, and I have experimented in the past where I created a hamlet within a forest, and that worked quite well. But I felt like it was a bit too industrial feeling, so I'm going to just keep this for production buildings. And hopefully, fingers crossed, they're not too far away from the housing in the town so the villagers don't get upset. We'll see. I'm also going to split this up into 4 different sections. I've actually only got 3 woodcutters here, and each one of these 4 sections that you can see roughly drawn out should be enough for each one of those woodcutters and a forester to maintain. But if I decide to upgrade the woodcutters as well, I could add another forester into the 4th section and then use that as another forestry area as well. Like I was saying a moment ago, if I keep this forestry area just on the verge of being cut down all the time, there'll be loads and loads of berries scattered throughout the entire area, rather than just around the one perimeter of the forest. So I'm actually trying to do a very careful little balancing act here where I'm constantly creating perimeter for the berry pickers to utilize. So a moment ago you just noticed that I put a forester camp in the town. The forester camps are the buildings that plant the trees out. I'm keeping 2 in the forestry area here. That won't be enough to maintain the amount of trees that are getting cut down, especially if I intend to upscale the amount of coal production that's going on. If you followed the series, you'll know that Capybara is built on the back of a forested area that was clear cut. And while that's enabled me to build freely on a flat plain, it also makes the build seem a little bit barren. So I'm going to use the forester to add back in trees as part of a detailing exercise. I like to do it this way round. There are little gaps all over the town which would be ideal for detailing. And this is where the forester comes in handy. And I could go through and plant trees everywhere myself, but the native trees do a better job of filling in gaps and making it look more natural. Okay, so that's going to take a little bit of time for him to plant that up. So while he's doing that, we can carry on. And what I'm going to do here is dive into the budget in the Royal Book and see where things are. In fairness, it's not that bad. Over 500 gold a month is pretty decent. But I have noticed that things have been fluctuating a bit dramatically. Sometimes it's down to 100, and that means that something's going wrong somewhere. I'm just not quite sure where. So if I pull up the resource list and I look for gaps in the production chain, this one jumps out to me: iron bars and coal. Both of those are used in the production of tools. Let's have a look down for tools in the resource list. That is interesting. I'm still buying tools. I didn't know that was going on. Well, that explains why I've got so few tools, and also why it's taking me such a long time to build things. But considering how much iron ore I've got, there's absolutely no reason why I should be buying tools whatsoever. So let's stop doing that. And it's clear that the thing that is restricting the production of tools is the fact that I've got very little coal. So if I build some more charcoal makers, that should increase the amount of tool production that I have. Let's start by laying out this new area. There are 2 ways to go about this. I could just buy coal from another town. I do have the money for it, but why would I do that when I can produce it myself? I've already got 3 charcoal makers here, you can see, and they don't need to be inside my forestry area. They will just take wood from wherever you've painted woodworking. I better add a gate in here so they can get in and out on this side. Excuse me. 3 is clearly not enough, so let me start by adding in 2 more, and then we'll take it from there, shall we? I think I will probably need at least 1 more. The ratio is 2 to 1 iron smelters, so I should have 2 charcoal makers for every 1 iron smelter that I've got, and I've got 3 iron smelters. So based off that, really I should have at least 6, but I want to keep it lean, so let's just see how it goes with 2 initially, and then we'll work up from there. Okay, last thing I need to do is just add in some villagers. We'll wait a little bit and then see how that affects the economy overall. Adding in new villages always has an impact on housing, so let's just have a look at that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Four unhoused, 3 woodcutters, and one of them's the cheese maker. He's a commoner, so that's a different challenge. But we created housing space last time, so let's have another look at that. This little parcel of land behind the cheesemaker here doesn't have a house in. I should be able to do something about that. If I recall, I destroyed the house because it was in an undesirable neighbourhood. It was too close to the cheesemaker. I've been waiting for the road to disappear, and that's happened now. But it looks as if the residential area is a little bit too small for it, so I'm probably going to need to just widen that a little bit. There we go, I knew that was the problem. And the house on the left there, that's upgrading as well. I'd like this whole area to seem far more upper class, so I'm going to change the fencing out here as well for some stone walls, the fancy one, not the rustic one. And then that'll elevate the look and feel of the whole area. Let's check back in on the coal situation, and it looks like everything's working fine, but it's still a little bit low. They're all trafficking the coal where it needs to go, but they're still not quite producing enough. Yeah, that's a little bit low. I really need to get that iron bars number up, and coal is the way that you do it. So let's go ahead and add that 3rd charcoal maker in. Where's it gone? Charcoal maker. Interestingly enough, in the early access version of the game, it used to be rows and rows of stonemasons that I would have loads of, but now it's loads and loads of charcoal makers. I haven't shown it, but I moved this forester over to the other side of the town just to get him to finish off planting his trees, and he's finished now, so I'm going to put him in his final resting space. Here in this forestry area, right next to the woodcutter that he's going to live with. And this area next to the town is going to be his area that he's going to cover. I left a little gap between the forester regions. Hopefully the villagers will form a road network there. Let's check on the iron situation. 25, that's looking far healthier. And that's going to start to have a knock-on effect now, and hopefully the tools will start to tick up as well. I'll probably need to add another charcoal maker at some point because the coal still seems a little bit low, but I'll go with it for now. Right, if I want those 3 houses at the end of the town there to all become commoner houses, one of them currently isn't, I'm going to need to make sure that they've got enough patrol coverage. If I click on the watch post, I'll be able to get an overlay of how much coverage I've got. It doesn't look too bad, but it does tell me that it's low coverage. And I've had the pop-up a couple of times saying that a house doesn't have its needs met, which basically means that there's not enough patrol coverage. I'm going to play it safe on this one. I'm going to add another tower in. And I also want these houses upgrading to the 3rd tier housing, which means that I'm going to need to build some heavy fortifications. There's a couple of ways I could get heavy fortifications, but the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to use castle monument, and I'm just going to do treasury build. So the other reason that I want to do a castle monument here is because I want to put a gatehouse at the end of the town here as well. I'm trying to do 2 things. Create a gatehouse type area, and also encourage these houses here to upgrade to the 3rd tier. I thought about it, and I could have added a patrol building for the castle monument there as well, but I've decided to use the manor house instead. The manor house also has a patrol building. It's the other way that you can create patrols. And there's a little gap at the end of the street here, which would be ideal for placing a little bit more manor house. Putting bits of monument throughout your town makes it feel way more dense and way more believable. So in theory it'll look good, and it'll also serve the function for the patrollers. Unfortunately, the area of influence for that heavy fortification isn't quite reaching that third house there, so I'm going to need to add in a little bit of monument somewhere. I'm going to spare you the pain of me taking way longer than any reasonable human being should, and just skip to the part where I finally decide what I'm going to do and where I'm going to put it. This build process takes a really long time, and eventually the penny drops that I'm making more iron now so I can make more tools, but I've only got one blacksmith actually making tools, so I need to add another blacksmith in. So let's add another blacksmith in, shall we? This is the perfect location for a secondary blacksmith. Blacksmiths are actually a very versatile building. They don't have a negative impact on housing, so they can go in an industrial area or they can go in a town area. But I'm going to put him here because I feel like it's a good space and it makes sense. Who knows, I may shift him over one day and have two in there. Remember that this whole exercise is about creating a place for a citizen to live. And the other thing that you need for citizen housing is a paved road. And the way that you get a paved road is by building a pavia. It's a unique building that you unlock in the progress screen, but you get it by going to the build menu, and then here it is, Pavia's Yard. This is the ideal location for it. It's right next to where it needs to be. And that's important because they have a very limited radius. They only work within the area where they're built. Interestingly, a Pavia's Yard is best suited to a citizen, but obviously serfs will do just fine. It just has an even more limited radius. So now that I've got the new paintbrush for the roads, I can just start painting the areas that I want to be paved. I'm taking the whole town in, the monastery, and I really want to distinguish this area as upper class. Citizens are demanding inhabitants, and they're going to need enough refined food. So before I actually promote anyone, I need to make sure that I really do have enough refined food, otherwise they'll instantly start complaining. So where to put the other cheese maker? An ideal location. Here, maybe? No. This looks like a good area. Yeah, let's do it. If I do annoy this one house, I can live with that. Let's not forget the milk farms as well. Those need expanding out. It wasn't until I watched this back that I realised that the cattle, they all migrated from that original farm into the new pasture. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's get moving. This is the Riverside Market. And if I want citizens to be able to get all their needs met here, which is predominantly where they will be living and working, then I'm going to need to make sure that they've got everything that they need. And they've got 2 rustic foods, berries and fish, 3 refined foods, meat, bread and cheese, although they're all at 0, which means I'm not producing enough of them. They've also got 2 common wares, clothes and candles. So my task here will be to improve the amount of food that they've got and add in a luxury item stall. Luxury items can be honey, herbs, gems, jewellery. Capybara produces all of those now. I could quite easily get away with just doing 1 stall because I'm not going to have loads and loads of citizens, but I'll do 2 stalls just in case. So the question was raised, what's the benefit of having 1 market with many stalls as opposed to 1 stall and many markets? You can let me know in the comments how you do it, but this is the way that I have always done it, and it's down partly to the meta of the early access version that I played so much of. It used to be the case in the early access version of the game where the villagers would take the first food provided in the market until it was depleted, and only then would they take the second variety of food. That doesn't happen anymore. They just take the foods that they need regardless. So I did used to have multiple markets with only 1 stall in order to compensate for that. But now, because that doesn't happen anymore, they meet their needs far more intuitively. I have 1 market with many stalls simply because it's easier to manage all in 1 menu window like this. Let's have herbs and honey in here as luxury items because I produce a lot of that. I also like to sell the jewellery because it sells for a really good price. But while I'm here and thinking about it, I'm also going to add in 1 more food stall for a rustic food. Because looking at my resource bar, I think I produce a lot of foods, so there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to meet all of their needs. It just means that the markets themselves aren't able to hold enough to supply the villagers when they come to buy foods from the stalls. So by adding in another stall, I should basically just increase the amount of food available to them without actually having to mess around with the production chain. And the other rustic food that I have available is vegetables, which is coming from the monastery. Okay, now it's time for the moment of truth. I've built the housing that I want. They're all upgraded now, and the roads are paved, so when a citizen does decide to move in, that house can accommodate them appropriately. The market has been upgraded as well, so they're going to have all of their needs available to be met. All I need to do now is pick the appropriate villager that's going to get the honor of being promoted to citizen. And I think it's going to be the brewer here. We're going to start small to see how things go. If I do decide to upgrade citizens en masse and it doesn't work out, I'll be in for a whole heap of trouble. So let's do one at a time. And it looks like Ziza. Ziza is the lucky lady that's going to get the promotion. Ziza is a serf, so she's going to get promoted first to a commoner and then to a citizen. But she's earned it. Please give a shout out to Ziza in the comments. Now all I need to do is keep an eye out on the housing and wait for it to upgrade. This is the exciting part for me now. The tension is palpable. Which one of these 3 houses is going to upgrade here? Will it be this one? This one? Perhaps? Which one will it be? Come on, Ziza. You're a citizen now. You've got responsibilities. People are counting on you. I see there's no space in this house here. Perhaps if I kick somebody out and make room for you, you will move into there and then it'll upgrade. Maybe I can will her to move into there if I move the tabs close to each other. Wait, what's this house in the background doing that's upgrading? Who lives in there? There's a citizen living in there? Oh, Ziza, what did you do to me? You've decided to live here. Oh. You know, that's the beauty of Foundation. All of the plans that I laid out, every opportunity that I gave Ziza, and she decided to throw it in my face and do whatever she wanted to do. I think I'll end it there. I tried. Anyway, if you have been, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, comment. This has been Foundation, and I have been Lord Bara.